Hey, today's topic is a group of words. Use a group of words. Um, Relationship, commitment, self-discipline, and what we're going to call Kamai. I'll tell you about that when we get there. Okay, so the whole universe is in existence because of relationship. If all the atoms in the universe did not relate to each other, it would be still. Okay, so it's things meeting each other, repelling each other, uh, growing together, going apart, living, dying, all this relationship. Okay, so without that, there's nothing, nothing. um, so let's for a moment think about the relationships that we have, and I don't mean with people, but that too. I mean, like, for example, let's take very basic things. How do you relate to air? Yes? Okay, mostly people don't even think about it, ever. Some people think about it, and these things you think about when you don't have them. If you cannot breathe, then all of a sudden you're very happy to have a good relationship with air. Yeah. Um, you can also say it's a relationship to your lungs or whatever, but anyway, my relationship to air, for example, is I'm breathing in oxygen, which is made by all this wonderful green stuff around me. And when I breathe out, I contribute to them. So I'm in a relationship with the outer world, a world outside of my body, just by breathing. And water, same thing. Think about water. You turn on the water in your faucet and fill up your coffee pot. You don't think about it. You just think the water's there. It's not only that the water is in your kitchen, but the water exists at all. And you know what? The water's been there for eons. Yeah. So the water that you have in your morning coffee might as well have been at one time in dinosaur blood, right? So this is a wonderful cycle of water, and we're in that cycle. Okay, this is a relationship you can have to water, right? You can have a relationship to death, how you feel about death. Let's put it that way, and all these other things. Okay, so um, yeah, we can go deeper into that, but I think we'll just let that slide for now. Everything is in relationship. Um, oh, I can say this about that. uh, from the start. Now we'll just take conjecture of physics, which would be the start would be Big Bang. Okay, we don't have to go back to where did the Big Bang come from, but the beginning, as we can observe or almost observe or calculate, everything came from a point of what's it called? Singularity. Oh, this is pretty cool too. Single point, no dimensions. 2 points, a line, 2 dimensions, infinite. It's infinite. You think of a line, you think it's so long, but that's a line segment. That's only a bit of it. That's like your life. But the whole line is forever. Forever. 3 points, you make a plane, right? Planes also are infinite. They go forever. This is basic geometry, I believe. Okay? So take all that is and you project it backwards, it has a common origin. In this way, everything is related to that common origin. You can also say everything is related to everything else. It's not hard for me to make a connection to this dead stick, okay? What is it made out of? Carbon. I'm made out of carbon. Where did carbon come from? Could have came from the same star that exploded billions and billions of years ago. Might be. Um, Maybe when this thing was alive, it created, there was some leaves growing on it, and I breathed in the oxygen from that. Maybe it took in some carbon. I sit up here on this hill a lot of times. So maybe some of the carbon that I breathe out, my carbon dioxide, is actually in the stick. So the relationship can be so much, we don't even know. Alright, so from there we go to commitment. What are you committed to? Well, I'm married. I've been married for 31 years. I took a marriage vow. I made a promise. I made a commitment, right? So regardless of what happens, I promised that I would stick by this person, my wife, um, through thick and thin, basically. Um, Now, does that mean commitment is easy? Oh, that's nice. Let's do this. No, it's hard work. Sometimes it's ecstasy, and sometimes it's hell. Um, and that's what commitment is. It doesn't matter what comes, you stick with it. That's the commitment. Okay. Now, it's a good idea to understand what you're going to commit to. You don't always know. It's true. You don't know what it's. When you're a young person, you get married, you think it's just going to be beautiful, but you learn pretty fast that it's not only this. Um, but you made this commitment and you stick with it because you have a bit of integrity, right? You say what you do and you do what you say. Here comes the sunshine. Light's going to change a bit. Um, so what are you going to commit to? Pick something. Maybe you're only a young person. Maybe you're 18 years old. You don't have a girlfriend. You don't have any children. Children is also a giant commitment, right? You go to work. How about at school, though? You can commit to school. Now, committing to school is, in some places, it costs a lot of money. Some places, it doesn't cost any money. Um, but you commit to, say, 2 years or 4 years or whatever it is, and you do your best to get through it, right? But the commitment has to mean something. If it's just nonsense, then you just stop when it gets difficult, right? That's the end of the commitment, and that's a commitment that is like wet paper. It just falls apart. There's no integrity, and there's no structure to it. So when you make a commitment to something, it's kind of like a sacred bond in a way. So we all make commitments, whether we know it or not. Um, for example, I choose living, and I choose living over dying, I suppose. I don't go and try to die. I do what I can to live, and then you want to live well, right? So it's not only you commit yourself to something, but you don't only commit to something, but you commit yourself to something. Huh? Um, Committing yourself to something. So the something is almost not important when we're talking now, because it's the commitment that we're talking about. Okay. Then we come to this word self-discipline. Discipline is an interesting word, When I was a child, I thought discipline was like punishment, but it's not. And then I thought discipline was, self-discipline was making yourself do something you don't want to do, but it's not. Discipline, the root of the word discipline comes from to learn, right? You think about discipline, and you think about disciple, right? So the disciples, for example, the 12 disciples that followed Jesus, they were there to learn, yeah? So self-discipline is meaning actually self-learning, right? So why not commit to self-learning? Oh, so when you learn about yourself, you do so because it's important for you. Now, why is it important? Well, for example, do you want to feel good? You want to feel like you're a balanced person, or do you want to have a shitty life and then feel like everything is falling down around you? Well, why would anything go bad in your life? You have to look at that, right? So your self-discipline is is driven by um, um, driven by your, I don't want to say desire, but it's a desire to learn, your will to learn, yeah? And what you're learning in this case is about yourself. Self-discipline. Okay, and again, like in commitment, it's not always easy. You don't always like what you see. But it's hard because, how do you see yourself? What is the relationship you have to yourself? It sounds very strange, You have a relationship between body and mind, but actually they're the same thing. So it doesn't really make sense, but we talk about it in this way. So much of this sort of thing, these, we can just say abstract words, it doesn't make sense to talk about them. You have to experience them yourself, yes? So, but we talk about them because we meet, right? We have a relationship that way. So words come, but they're not always accurate. Usually they're not accurate, but they're close. So more often we talk about things than we talk about things than to say what things are. So discipline, we take it to the next level. You can say that an art is a discipline, right? Aikido, discipline of Aikido, the discipline of Tai Chi, meditation can be a discipline, right? And what does that mean? Does it mean it's hard, it's difficult? Well, it could well be, it's going to be probably, but not all the time. And why do we do this? Why do we commit to a discipline for self-discipline? And this is because we need to have a reflection, right? We need to be able to see who we are, to be able to explore yourself. And when we have an art, we go back to the same thing again and again. Okay? Let's say you're going to draw a tree. Okay? You've committed to drawing this tree. Your discipline is draw the same tree, you know, every week for 52 weeks. So the whole season of the tree, right? Not all commitments are lifetime commitments, no. But let's say you do that, right? So you start drawing this tree, and maybe in the beginning it's just like just a couple sticks, you know, your stick figures, you know, and with some leaves on the top. And then you go back the next day and you see, oh, there's something there I didn't see before. I can draw that in there. And then you draw it again and you add to it what you did see. And then maybe again you say, when I drew it like that, it doesn't look like that actually. That's how I felt about it. But actually in reality it's this way. So then your drawing is always changing. You're always reflecting about how you perceive things. And in that reflection you can adjust, and you can you evaluate, and then you make adjustments, so that it becomes more and more to the point, more and more real, more accurate, a clearer picture of what's there. So use a discipline for self-discipline so that you can have a clearer understanding of who you are. Okay? Good. That said, here's a little snippet for you. The quality of your life is reflected in the quality of your relationships. Okay? And we use the discipline to see our relationship to ourselves, how we meet things. Yeah? You can do this with people as well. Your wife will tell you all the time when you're screwing up, or when you're doing good. So relationships are also a good place to reflect on yourself, how you interact. Be open. We talked about beginner's mind before, so that you don't shut down right away if you get a criticism. It's not easy, but if you're committed, over time you'll get there. And so the last one is this thing called Kamae. And to put it in layman's terms, everybody who don't do Aikido and stuff, I'm going to call it a position of stability where you can meet changes with calm clarity, awareness, attentiveness. Okay, so a position where you can meet things with stability and calm clarity. Okay. So you can also call that a bit of integrity. So you could say also it's a position of integrity, whether it's a physical position or a mental attitude. So that you don't get ruffled when things go bad. You could be afraid. It is not that, but you have the courage to meet it. It could be that you get knocked down, but then you get up again. See, so it's not a static. It doesn't have to be a static position. It can be, but it can also be a dynamic situation, where it usually is. So if you have it's kind of like your spirit, you know. your spirit is reflected in your kamai, in your positioning, in your whole, in your attitude, yeah, your way of being, your spirit, yeah. So if I go to work and I have to meet a situation there, well, I don't have to get all ruffled about it and say, oh, this place is so difficult. Oh, why don't they always? You just relax. You understand clearly what the situation is. You meet it with the best you can, with your integrity, and you move forward in a creative way. Same thing if you somebody's throwing rocks at you, right? You see the rock coming. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to move and let the rock go by. Possibly you could catch it. I don't know, but or maybe you take cover. You get behind something else. So it's very clear what's happening, you know. And if you get panicky, you tense up, the rocks might hit you in the head, or you might be doing something stupid like try to catch it with your hand and not be in a space where you can give with the energy. Yeah. So for different examples. And I think that's all I got for you today. So peace.